Morning and happy money making Monday. I have not shown my face in a while. I've been quiet for a multitude of reasons. A lot of things are happening. We just got out of tax season. I still have one more nonprofit tax return I need to complete. They are due on the 15th. But I've been head down for a multitude of reasons. One, I had to finish Beatrice Dixon's book, The Soul. Instinct. This book right here, if you don't read nothing else this year, you should read this book. I learned so much. And you know what? There's a thing called cognitive, it's not cognitive dissonance. It's like cognitive, relevancy. Basically, the thought process is that sometimes we will say things over and over and over again and make them true, even if they're not, because we have, with repetition, said the thing over and over and over again. And for the longest time, I was under the impression that Beatrice Dixon had sold her business. Just by headlines and things that I've quickly seen and things of that nature, right? Good morning. And after reading her book, I found that she found actually a strategic partner. I knew that I met her in North Carolina 2 years ago. And I found out then that she was the CEO of her business. And I was like, oh, okay, so she sold her business, but they gave her a job. That's what I was thinking in my head conceptually, right? And then as I was reading, I was like, oh no, she still has the highest equity in the business. She still has a say, right? And I was like, see, and that's why you got to read people's stories. That's why I don't want to say that social media is not a real place, because it truly is. And we're going to get into that because that's part of our Money Making Monday conversation. But what I would say is that dig deeper. Lead with curiosity as an entrepreneur. It's so easy to get into a silo around your own feelings and where you are as an entrepreneur. But the truth of the matter is that in order to grow, you have to be uncomfortable and also position yourself in a way where you seek to know more answers than to assume the things that you already know. And that can be very difficult because, one, you have to measure what you need and where you are. And and if no one's told you, entrepreneurship is the personal development project that you didn't know that you had agreed to when you decided that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. You learn so much about yourself if you choose to, because that's not always everyone's story. Sometimes people become entrepreneurs and they learn absolutely nothing about themselves because they're so strong-headed about taking new information and implementing it, asking for help, things of that nature. So something as I finished the book this morning was, how do I measure what I need and where I am currently? How do I measure what I need and where am I currently? The other thing I would say is, and encourage you to do, and this is something I've been doing for multiple years at this point, is, if you go to your followers, you can click your followers and Instagram will tell you who you see the most in your feed and then who you don't see in your feed the most, right? So I always go to the people who I don't see the most, and I go through and I see if I have a couple standards. If you haven't posted in the last 3 months, I typically unfollow you. Sometimes if you have really, really good stuff and you haven't followed in 3 months, I'll give you 6 months. That's just how I'm feeling, okay? Not because I feel like they're messing my algorithm up, but if they're not posting and they're not being active, then there is no engagement there. But I would also encourage you to go to the people that you see frequently and ask yourself why you're following them. Have you implemented anything that they've said? Or are you just following their accounts because they are feeding the rhetoric that you believe already in your head? Again, we don't want to get into that cognitive repetition around what we believe. That at the core of who you are going to believe what you're going to believe. But the truth of the matter is that you have to have things that agitate what you believe about yourself and what you're doing in your business. So I would encourage you. I ain't saying you got to do it today. Go in and unfollow some of the accounts that no longer resonate with you. I ain't gonna tell you. There are some named people that I've followed, unfollowed, followed back again, and followed them again because of the season that I was in, and implemented what they said. Or sometimes the things that they're saying no longer resonate with me, or their core beliefs or their rebranding or whatever they're doing over there no longer aligns with what my goals are. It actually has nothing to do with them. It's always been a heart posture about what I'm doing. How am I centering myself? What is my mission and my purpose? And that would lead me to the next thing. Social media isn't trash. It's just recycling what you already believe through your eyes. If you continue to like posts where people say, you coming up on your next 10,000, you have a 10,000 month. Those posts actually mean nothing if you are not doing the things to make you $10,000. You can like them and it can make you feel good, but we all know, and you have, unless you have a really bad taste of cognitive dissonance, then you know that you eventually have to do the work. You have to. There's no way to keep liking things that say that you're going to have a $10,000 month and you don't even post on social media. Or you're going to have a $10,000 month and you don't network. You have a $10,000 month and your website doesn't even take payments. Like, we have to start thinking about, like, legit, what are the things that how do you measure what you need? And where are you? Where's your business currently? Right. We're going to keep heart posturing ourselves back to that part. Okay. Changing your tone. And the reason why I say change your tone is, it's not what's being said, it's how it's being said. If you're someone who likes to repost stuff about how your family, like strangers, are the first people to support your business and buy from you, I have many thought processes about that. At the very forward of my thought processes around that is your family your target audience? And as someone who does numbers, analytics, and data collection, I don't like when my family likes my stuff because they don't buy my stuff. And now they're messing my analytics up because they're liking, I guess, in terms of support, I love that. But at the same time, if they're not actually buying, or if they're just liking it on the strength of like their family, for me, that's not my favorite. As someone who is a fractional CFO who collects revenue, data, and analytics for clients on a regular basis, your numbers will be inflated in a way. Imagine if you're just getting started and all your friends follow you and you're still trying to figure out who your target market is. It's going to actually take you longer to figure out this information because your friends and your family are liking all your things. And now you're trying to shuffle through your numbers. Who are the people who are actually going to buy from you and be your customers? I'm just going to lay that right there. And I might be a thought leader in this thought process, because a lot of people feel like their family should be following them or that their friends should be doing. Now, resharing stuff, if anything, if I was going to ask my family to do anything, it would be sharing to their audience of people who could potentially buy from me. But even that is a little leery, because the truth of the matter is that now because it's the other part you don't be thinking about. If things go left with you and your the family member or friend's friend, then we gonna have to chalk that up. We got to do something about that. What's the thought process? Again, I'm not an entrepreneur who is like, my family needs to be sharing my stuff because they mess up your analytic numbers. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay. Now let's talk about smart behaviors. This week, I would encourage you to identify one. Not two, not three, not four, not five. One thing specifically, because the SMART is specific, measurable, obtainable, relevant, and trackable. Okay. One thing that you need to do this week in the middle of May to project the trajectory of your business. Measure it. Don't just write down the specifics. Like, if the thought process is, I want to sign one new client this week, then to measure that, okay, we're going to use myself as a case study. If my thought process, I want to sign one new client, that's my specific goal. My measurables is, how many people do I actually need to get in front of this week to be able to retain that? Now, because I've been in business for so long, I know what my conversion rate is. It's 12%. It's 11% on LinkedIn. So my thought process is, okay, I have more eyes on me on LinkedIn. So perhaps my measurable action, making content, posting it there, And then another thing that I do very well on LinkedIn is engaging, and on all social media platforms, if I'm being honest, engaging when people comment. I have a comment on one of my videos here that I'm going to make a video with. I think sometimes we're trying so hard to be innovative or new or refreshing that we've lost the plot. Sometimes consistency is in the boredom, in knowing what works. I would encourage you to stop trying to figure out like new things and how to be in front of people, do the things. Sometimes you've already created the secret sauce. You just don't want to do it because you feel like I always do that. But if it's getting you to your specific goal, what's the problem? Okay, I'm gonna get off that. Okay. Now, this goal has to be obtainable. I think it's most definitely attainable to say that I want to sign one person this week instead of saying 10. Okay, that's a whole nother ball game. That's a whole another set of measurable goals that I have to set forth and execute on. Okay, so that's obtainable. Relevant. It is relevant because actually I am shifting a couple things on the back end, and I do have capacity to take one new client. Actually, I have capacity to take 3, but right now the goal is just 1 because we have a whole nother week. I could get 3 before the end of the month, but we're working on just a week. Okay, and then it's a trackable. Absolutely. What I will do is I'm making some content today. I'm going to be posting it between today and tomorrow. And then I'm going to be tracking how people engage with the material. Yesterday I posted something and it hasn't even been 24 hours and I already have 500 views. For me, getting 1,000 views that's the sweet spot for me. That is like somebody go sign up for something. That is getting me into the circle and people commenting on. So my main thing is when I post something, I need people to be engaging, reposting, sharing, all of those things. Commenting is the moneymaker. If someone comments, that's a warm lead for me to be able to formally introduce myself if we have not had a conversation in the DMs, or to use their video so that they are front of mind, because when you repost people's comments, they also get notified that they were reposted on their end as well. Listen, there's so many things that I think that, again, we are trying to make this difficult, and it's not. It's not that difficult. You just need to figure out what your secret sauce is. You're doing too many things. You're throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're trying to figure out what works. And I think you might have already figured it out, but you don't want to keep doing that because social media is telling you, well, this new thing is happening and this new thing is happening. And although the algorithm is changing daily and constantly, you keep doing the thing that works until it doesn't. And then you go back to the drawing board. There's no need to have 5 different strategies when you know one of them works. You are making your life more difficult. Ask me how I know. Maybe some. Also, I want to shout out 2 women that I've been following. I've been following Coella for a long time. Will Glory. I've just started following her maybe a couple months ago, and I've been thoroughly impressed with how she shows up on social media and her thought process and her leadership and how she shows up and helps entrepreneurs navigate this thing we call a business. She does a dinner, very small, and I was like, I feel like I want to do that here, and take it on the road or whatever that might be, right? I'm going to Philly this weekend. I was in DC last weekend. I'm here in Richmond. She does a dinner and they have 3 rules. 1, everyone has to say something. Everyone has to say something because she finds that in the room there is somebody there who can help you with the solution that you're looking for. 2, just having open conversations behind, basic kitchen talk. I know a lot of people have been badgering Emma Greed in some of her thought processes, and I have thoughts about the things, but in no way that I feel like I need to come to social media to air my grievances of what I think she's saying or not saying. The truth of the matter is that she's saying more things that align with what I've experienced in entrepreneurship than to say, like, I don't listen to her. Actually, I listen to her podcast, and I've been listening to her podcast for almost a year now, so I guess I ain't got a dog in that fight. But I want you to follow these ladies. I'm going to tag them in the caption. Will Glory is WILGLORYY. And then Quiella is Boss Life Blueprint. Boss is spelled BAWSE Life Blueprint. You should follow her. She's a certified life coach. She is the business. She has receipts. That's the other thing. People who have social proof and reviews from their clients, right? Again, when I talk to people, they're like, "Ooh, should I hire a CFO? Should I be hiring you? Maybe I saw someone post on Threads. They're like, oh, I could do my own bookkeeping." And it's not that entrepreneurs can't do their own bookkeeping. I had a session this weekend. It's that sometimes they're categorizing things incorrectly. And someone suggested that, hey, you can do your own bookkeeping for sure. I would just also still just have a consultation with someone who knows what they're doing to make sure that you are also doing the things correctly. Categorizing expenses and revenue could possibly, it is easy. It's manual labor, but it's easy. The other thought process, though, is when you get into a place of scaling and growing your business, you might actually not have time, or you need to offboard that to someone else so that you can grow your business in another way. And if you're just starting out, yeah, it's great. But the client that I had this weekend, he was miscategorizing his credit card payments and marking them as gas expense. So he was doubling down. He was actually deducting from his gas, and basically, we under marked how much his expense was for his gas on his tax return. Thousands, because he's a truck driver. Thousands of dollars. You can see how things could go awry if you are trying to do things yourself and you actually aren't privy to that. Like he bought a truck, and I said, well, how much did you pay for it and the cost? Because we can depreciate it. It wasn't even on his preview. He was just like, oh, okay. Like, again, doing the bookkeeping, probably not so hard. Knowing bookkeeping principles, because I went to school for accounting, that's something totally different. I'm not trying to sell you my services. What I'm saying is just consult with some. If it's not me, consult with somebody. If you are doing something that's not in your preview. Just a thought. Okay. This is our Money Making Monday. I said a lot. I said a lot. We're going to be smart this week. Tell me in the comments, if you watched this all the way through, what is your one specific goal? And if you want extra credit, tell me how you are measurably setting yourself up for success to obtain said goal, or how are you going to track it so that you can get to your goal. All right, I have a lot of admin work to do, and I need to drink some water. I haven't done anything this morning, and it's already 10 o'clock, and it's rainy, so it's going to be a head down kind of day, and I need to figure out what I want to take to Philly. So I have quite a bit of things to do, but I'm glad we connected. And of course, if this is your first time hearing me, seeing me, my name is Sharice. I own a boutique CFO firm, and I help people do make money on demand by utilizing the three number metrics, by knowing their numbers: your revenue, the money you make, the analytics of who's doing what, and collecting your data. So all of these numbers collectively point to how you can make money on demand. I should have started with that. All right. I have a full day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.